Relax. Everybody is here to party.
Greetings and welcome, fellow periodontists, fluoroscopists, and cross-table lateralists. I am your host, and I am not a radiology technician. Nope, I'm a technologist, and I've been in this field long enough to know that just because you came into my emergency room at 2 a.m. with a chronic back pain times 6 years does not mean the x-ray should be stabbed. This is the Radiologic Technologist Podcast for RadTech by RadTech. Thanks for listening. All right, thanks everybody for joining me for lunch. We're trying out another lunchtime Q&A. I'm going to turn on some background music just because I like it. I got feedback yesterday that it was distracting. I think it was because I picked kind of a techno trance type fast beat. We'll try something a little less distracting today. Let's see what house groove sounds like. Where are we at? I think you know what? Let's try some jazz. There we go. Take it down to 10%. Pop that back up there. So we're gonna see. I'm gonna have to open up the chat separately in case anybody hops in there. Computer's still running a little slow. Might be time to give it a good clean. Ran home for some lunchtime relaxation, grab a bite to eat. Today's episode is brought to you courtesy of Grape Bang. Of course, it's not called grape, it's purple haze, but it's great. It's like a grape knee-high with caffeine. Jump into the videos. Live, there we are. Bop, bada, bop, bop. Pause that. Okay, I can leave it up right there. Greetings and salutations. Yep. I don't hear that music. Good enough. Where are we at? Over on the Facebook group, I see we've got Mary McKay jumped in. Just joined the group. I finally sat down and went through all 79 requests to join the group yesterday. And Mary McKay is one of them. Hi, I'll just join the group. Have been accepted into an RT program next fall. Just got my MA last spring, although I haven't found work in the field. Am I nuts for doing this at 59? I'm healthy and used to physical work. Welcome aboard, Mary. Absolutely. Well, you are nuts for getting into healthcare. I mean, we take a beating. Take a licking and keep on kicking, right? Let me copy this. Pop that in. We'll say, welcome, Mary. That's the live stream. And to Mary, I'll say it's never too late to start a new career. I mean, we're living in our 90s. Betty White, right? 99, almost 100. So you figure... Getting into X-ray at 59, she'll graduate at 61. If she lived to be 100, like Betty White, 61 minus 39 more years, right? That's more than a lot of people have already had currently in their current career. So, never too late. Do what you want to do. I understand it's going to be tough, maybe even a little bit tougher as you get older. I got into X-ray in my 30s, and I mapped it out within about 20 years. I started as an X-ray tech and worked my way up through 4 modalities, into manager, and then director, and then system director. So I made it to the top rung of the radiology career ladder. It took me 20 years. Some people could probably do it quicker. Some people might take a little bit longer. I felt like it was breakneck speed. It just felt. 2003, I got into X-ray school. 2006 or 7, I can't remember, got into ultrasound school. After 10 years of being a tech, got into management at a trauma center, as it was called, clinical director of radiology. And then from there, moved up to director at another facility, and then up to a system director, where I was over all of the radiology departments throughout the entire system. And each different path along the way taught me a ton of new things that you don't see until you get to that level. So here I am giving back now on my channel, giving back all my experience, all my knowledge, answering questions. I've got a big drive to help students, techs. I'll even help managers if you want some help. And people who are interested in the field of radiology, because there's not a lot of places you can go to find out information on what we do that's accurate. So I've opened this channel. I've opened my blog. If you're not aware, it's at theradiologictechnologist.com. I've been blogging there for 3 years, just adding in all different kinds of things about different modalities. How to find the iliac crest in obese patients. A lot of people, some don't like to palpate, some do. Some use the elbow as a marker. I mean, there's all different kinds of things. And as you learn all these things over the years, it needs to be shared. It needs to be put back out there. I remember going to an AHRA conference years ago, and they had a mixer social gathering, right? Where we all got together at 7 o'clock at night or whatever to talk. And what I noticed, I went with a friend of mine, David Allen. He's a director over in California, radiology. I went to sonography school with him back in the day. But what we noticed was this group of a couple hundred radiology professionals, administrators mostly, were separating into two groups. There was the older, gray-haired, 50 and up genre, and then there was the new younger generation, and they weren't really mingling. And what we talked about was how all that information collected by the older group was not really being handed down to the younger group. And that started us to thinking about doing a podcast, which we played around with. I have 2 episodes on a podcast on my blog you can get to. Just not enough sharing of the old guard, the old information, down to the new generation. And if we don't get that information shared, the younger generation is doomed to make mistakes that they don't need to make. It's like having a good mentor, right? The more you learn from other people's mistakes, the less mistakes you make if you pay attention. So just hopped on at lunch to share and acknowledge and say hey to everybody. Fighting with Truth is out there. I did 1 day in clinicals and got COVID. So I've missed 3 clinical days now. I returned to school Monday. Oh, that sucks. Hang in there. Stuff's going to happen. Don't worry about it. I have a daughter who just moved up to a college town. Her and her husband, they're newlyweds. They're sharing a 2-bed, 2-bath apartment on campus with another newly married couple. And that other couple went away on their honeymoon on a cruise and came down with an illness on the cruise and decided for whatever reason to get tested for COVID on the ship, which it came back positive. So what happened? The ship said, we're going to bury you in the basement of this boat so you can't infect the other people. And so they spent their honeymoon quarantined in the bottom of a Carnival cruise line, whatever it was, and ruined the honeymoon. But if you picked up COVID on your clinicals or even just felt sick, you'll get over it. Use that time wisely. You're stuck at home, study, practice your modalities. I once did a contest on here, or on my blog rather, to give away one of the tools that I highly recommend. And the easy way to navigate this blog is just use that search box. But I did a giveaway for the skeleton, free positioning skeleton. I find this thing to be so incredibly useful, and it's like 50 bucks. And if you go through my blog and click on the link to go look at it, I will actually get an affiliate share of whatever you purchase, and that helps me run the channel and everything. But Mr. Bones from Amazon is a fully articulating skeleton. I don't know if you can see it there, but his jaw moves, every joint moves. You can bend the elbows, the shoulders, you can bend the knees, you can bend the ankles, and you know it's not a perfect, it's not a real skeleton, it's not perfect, but it's pretty darn accurate. So when you're at home or when you have downtime or even have one, buy one and take it to your clinical site. But you can lay it out on a table. You can position it. You can pretend to X-ray it. You can do your different positioning methods on it. I still recommend that guy as my favorite positioning tool. Let's see if it's still there. My favorite positioning tool in and out of clinicals. Crazy Bones. There he is. 50 bucks. I mean, I've got one here where he's out in the garage now. I think the kids had him in their room. They dress him all up and make him look goofy. But here he is with the mandible that moves, the actual head turns. You can see the shoulders are jointed, the elbows are jointed, the wrists are jointed. I mean, you can even say he's got a sacrum and coccyx, right? I mean, he's pretty anatomically accurate. The ankles move, the knees move. And so, you know, most people play around with them at Halloween and whatnot. And they're posable. You can sit them in a chair and put their arm out on your plate and do hand and forearm and things like that, and they'll stay in that position. But consider that guy while you're stuck at home there fighting with truth. And thanks for stopping by and saying hi. Thanks for hitting the like button. That's got to be you because there's only one person watching, right? So it's me and you for lunch. Happy lunchtime. So back to Mary Kay, of course, you know, it's never too late to jump in. She was an MA first, which is smart. I have an article that says, people often say, what should I do while I'm waiting to get into x-ray school? Is there a job that lends itself towards that? And yeah, there's transporter, there's MA, there's CNA. Some of those are even prerequisites to get into some x-ray courses. Like, you know, like to become a nurse, they want you to be a CNA first. Some x-ray groups do allow you to do CNA type stuff before, and those credits apply towards the credits in the program or their prereqs or something like that. But yeah, welcome aboard, Mary. What else do we have? Oh, this is exciting. So Julie just got accepted again 21 hours ago. I went through all 79 people that wanted in, and Julie Smith is an RRA, a registered radiologist assistant. And if you don't know what that is, guess what? There's an article about it on my blog. And to be fair, I took a lot of these articles a couple of years ago and turned them into videos for those that don't want to read, that hate to read, that kind of thing. Gosh darn, where's it at? You know what's easiest? If you go to the sitemap, I've got them listed by topic. And I think if I do a Control F to find and go RRA, it's right there. What is a registered radiology assistant? So I have a nice long table of contents even to jump to the different portions, but they make good money, and it's really one of the, I won't say it's the highest you can go in radiology because it depends on what that means to you. You know, most people think you climb the ladder to get into administration, but on the clinical side, the RRAs are the highest you can go. And we are blessed to have Miss Julie Smith join us. Talked about you on my live. We are blessed to have Julie because what she did was she stopped by and said, hey, thanks for letting me in the group. I'm an RRA and I'm wondering, students, what's bugging you? Look at all this. What's bothering you? How can I help? And Allison popped in and said, you know, I'm just worried about not doing good enough in my program. And other people are chiming in. What a beautiful thing, right? What did I say when I started this little luncheon today? I'm trying to give back my experience and knowledge because there's not a lot of other people out there doing it, or there, at least there wasn't 20 years ago when I started. And so I created this Facebook group a couple years ago. We're up to about 4,000 members right now. It takes some time to moderate because people post junk in there and ads for things that don't apply and whatnot. But look what we have now. We have this little society of people in radiology that are helping each other to get ahead, to navigate the rough waters of being in a program, answering questions about how to get into programs. So big shout out to Julie Smith, who is a registered radiologic assistant or radiologist assistant. If you want to know more about what she does, ask her, or pop over to my blog, read about what they do. This is something open to any X-ray tech out there. You have to apply to the program, interview, get accepted, but it's a wonderful opportunity to make more money, do more advanced procedures, kind of be your own little mini radiologist, so to speak. And this program, interestingly enough, stemmed off of the registered, the radiology practitioner's assistant. And that program went extinct. Goodbye RPA, because we did not band together as a profession and help protect it. We always see the nurses and how they get everything they want and everything they ask for, and that's because they have this large lobby group that goes to bat for them whenever they need something. And so radiology needs to learn how to do that as well. And we haven't done that. So RPA was out there for like 20 years, this program at Weber State, and you can read all about it and what they did. Couldn't keep it up. Dr. Oberoi, I never could say that, but she's the one that started the program and got it going. It was actually a military idea on getting people in the military to be able to do things when they didn't have radiologists present. Didn't quite do it all, but got really close. And anyway, that was I was in that program at Weber State, and after about a year, I had to drop out. My hospital was bought out by a larger system, and I was being kind of financed, if you will, or backed by the radiology group there, and they were no longer there. And so you have to provide your own clinicals in that RPA program, and it all kind of fell apart. And then within a couple of years of that, the whole program shut down, so I couldn't go back into it, unfortunately. But anyway, hop over there and say hi to Julie. She's helping a lot of people out. And Lazar is another proponent in our field. He's a tech who has written CEUs for us at the entire 24 credits that we need every couple of years, and he offers it for $20. $20. You remember back when it was like $250 or $300 to get all of your CEUs completed at the last minute, because we always waited till the day before. Now you can do it through him for $20, and you can stop into the group here. He's on it all the time. Leave him a comment and say, hey, thanks, man. Thanks for being a tech who cares about the other techs. Here's a Kai stopped by, same 21 hours ago when I let everybody in. I'm new to the RT MRI tech world. She's from the registration and financial counseling aspect in the hospital setting. And she's just asking for tips and suggestions. Of course, I asked for, what exactly? Do you want interview strategies or what? But people are chiming in. Already got 4 comments on different tips and suggestions about people that are looking in from the outside on what we do. And so I'm going to pause here for just a second. My phone is ringing off the wall, and I think it's because my dog is ready to be picked up at the groomers. Hang on just a second. Yep, that's what I thought. Milo's done. I have a standard full-size poodle. Never thought I'd own a poodle in my life, but this guy's amazing. He's pure white, tons of fun. Went down to Arizona to get him. So I'm going to have to cut off here in a little bit. Go pick Milo up. Hey, Victoria's on. That's my oldest daughter. And me. Let's see. Fighting with Truth. I definitely want the skeleton. That's super awesome. It's really the only thing out there for us when you think about it. I mean, we can buy like positioning pads and practice our oblique hands and things like that. But you can't, you can't make, I guess the holy grail is figuring out how to make a mini portable x-ray machine that obviously doesn't work because we can't do that in our homes. But wouldn't it be nice if somebody put out some kind of a mimic of a portable that you could set techniques on and tilt the head around and move it around into position and kind of practice with, but it's not out there. Everyone's worried about how they're doing in the program. Trust me, I already started off rough. Yeah. Colleen, Fighting the Truth. I had the opportunity to take it last summer. It was so hard. Yep. Hang in there, guys. I know clinical's tough, but here's what I always say, right? There's the last time I checked, there's about 350,000 licensed technologists, right? So if 350,000 people have already passed the exam, why can't you? Right? So stick with it. It's tough. Work with your peers, make study groups. Come on here and chat with us. Come to our Facebook group and say hello, ask your questions. We all band together. There's safety in numbers. You can get through it. You guys keep chatting. I think what I'm going to do, my plan was to go over some Aunt Minnie stuff and see where it's at. I think my groomer's wanting to get out of the office sooner rather than later. Let's see. I'm not seeing anything really exciting today. How do I get on your website? It's right here. Ba-da-ba-da. Hop in there. Pop it right here. Right there. And Facebook group. And yeah, it's really all I plug these days. We have a LinkedIn group. There's a subreddit on Reddit for radiology. It's not mine, but it's very, I guess I'll say popular. A lot of comments and questions left there. Right? Victoria's bringing up my mentor, Jim Rohn. Used to always say, don't wish things were easier. Wish you were better. Meaning, wish that you had the skill to be better at handling the problems. Because it's not about what happens to us, it's about how we handle what happens to us, right? You guys keep chatting. I'm going to turn it on to intermission. The groomer's literally right across the street from me. So I'm just going to pop over there and pick up my little pup, and I'll swing right back here and we'll pick up where we left off. I would not do the limited program, Colleen. And if that's the limited license program director that talked you into it, that's why, because they need students. If it was a full-on program that talked you into that, that's curious. Pop into our Facebook group and ask that question. It'll be, if there were downvoting like there's on Reddit, it would be downvoted immediately. It's not that it's a bad career, and if all you have time for is that little truncated program, and if there are a lot of jobs for that where you're at, because there may not be jobs for it either. Yeah, but why not go straight into the full program, right? I get that if you pass the limited, then you can reapply. I mean, maybe you're saying you didn't get in. My wife is in X-ray, and it took her 3 tries to get into the X-ray program. So what most of us seasoned techs say is you're wasting your time in the limited when you get that same information in the full program. So I can see where someone might take the limited if they just want to get in and out quickly and make a little bit of money until they can get into the full program and make a lot of money. But you're wasting time going into that limited program, in my opinion. Get into the full on and start learning that information in there. Not a lot of hospitals employ those partial techs. Now, some do, and it's kind of a shortcut, really. It's a way for them to pay a tech less, but get the same work out of them, and that doesn't sit well with our profession. But how can we argue when it's our profession that allowed it to be created? It's the ART that allowed that LPT or a limited, there's all kinds of names for it, but it's a limited x-ray tech. But hop in the Facebook group and say, what do you guys think about the limited X-ray program? And are there any of you on here? Because we do have limited X-ray techs in the group. Ask them what they think about their jobs. Ask them if they have lots of job opportunities and that kind of stuff. Yeah, Fighting with Truth applied to 4 and got into 1. It's competitive. It is, every single program out there is competitive for X-ray. But I'm gonna hop across the street. You guys keep chatting. I'll be back in just a 5 minutes probably. All right, sorry about that little intermission. Had to go get the bratty dog who chewed through his leash, apparently, waiting for me to come get him. So, let me just go through the comments real quick. I spoke to the program director, he encouraged me. If I pass that, I can reapply. I applied to 4 schools. Yeah, so this school is only about 30 minutes away from home, and the wait list is 3 years. Oh. Finding the truth, the school I got into had 239 applicants, only picked 12. Man, that is brutal. But that's the fact. That's where we're at. And that the thing is, see, I went to my local school and said, and this was when I was running the local radiology department in this town. And I said, you know, I hire, I must hire 10 x-ray techs a year, 5 to 10 x-ray techs a year. And you're only putting out 12, and you ought to look at those numbers, and you can ask your school, and you can even ask during interviews. Come on now. You can even ask during interviews, how many people do you graduate? How many of those stay locally and apply for jobs locally? Because you'd be surprised how many get in the program and then they go back to wherever they're from. Maybe they heard it was easier. Maybe the fact is, it's easier to get into a program near you. But here locally, southern Idaho, they would take 12, and half of those would go somewhere else, either to northern Idaho or Montana or Wyoming or whatever, which leaves you with 6. And then out of those 6, maybe they all rotated through my place, so we knew them all. And I left a majority of the interviewing up to the radiology supervisor. And that person would say, well, I didn't really like the way this one performed in clinicals, and that one wasn't really a team player and whatever. So by the end of it all, we're down to maybe 2 applicants, 2 students that we would want to hire out of what was left, and I needed to hire 5 to 10 every year. So I went to that program. I said, can you not bump it up to like 15 a year or something like that? And they basically said it wasn't up to them. It was kind of a state-controlled or a government-controlled deal, because they get subsidied by the state as a school. And one of the things they have to show in return, because anytime you get paid from somebody else, they want certain things from you. And what they wanted from the schools is data that shows all of your graduates can find jobs. And because they don't want, like back in the 2010 era, where I was at in Phoenix, we had 7 schools pumping out tons of techs, and there was not enough jobs. And so the state, in order to qualify for some funds, wants to see that they want to see that you're graduating a high percentage, right? Because if you're failing your students, and by failing I mean not teaching them good enough that they can pass the boards, there's something wrong with your program. They don't want to support you. They want to support programs that have a high pass rate. And they also want to see that you have a high pass rate, graduation rate, and job acquirement rate. So, where was I going with that? Sorry, the dog's over here going nuts, running all over because he's home from his haircut. You're distracting me, dog. So yeah, you're gonna have the schools can't just let in 50 people. For one thing, the clinicals can't handle that many people. They can only have 2 or 3 or 10 at a time, depending on how big that hospital or that location is. And then whoever funds that school, wherever that school gets their money, they're going to say they want to see that you can pass them and all that stuff I just talked about. So that's why they can't just take everybody. Sometimes I wish they would. Sometimes I can see why they don't. So Colleen said the class started out at 26. After the summer, it shrunk to 18. Yeah, because it's not for everybody. And again, part of why I started this channel and the blog and everything is because people don't tell you, even the schools, like I was in my x-ray program before I ever even heard about a barium enema. They don't tell you about BEs when you're checking out the school, or in their pamphlets when you inquire about what the program does. There's a lot of information that's just not given out when you're investigating this career. So when you talk about starting a class of 26 and you end up with 18 by summertime, either they didn't realize how hard the classes were going to be, maybe they got in thinking that they could work full-time and go to school full-time, and that's not something they can handle. Maybe they found out about BEs and that type of stuff and said, I'm not doing that kind of stuff. So you never know. What it could be personality differences. Students and teachers don't get along, and the teachers may be really hard on the students, and the students may say, I don't need this, or maybe they got accepted somewhere else, you just don't know it, and they had to make a decision. Or maybe they got into nursing while they were in x-ray. They had also applied to nursing and they got accepted there, so they bounced over there. A lot of different reasons why classes shrink. I've even had, when I was in x-ray school, I had a girl, what was her name? I can't remember, but she went all the way through the program with us and then never could pass her boards. I don't know what ended up happening to her, but she was just a bad test taker. She knew everything, and we all worked with her and did clinicals and everything was fine, but I think she ended up kind of falling back to the next class after hours, and then still couldn't pass the boards. And you're only given so many attempts, so it's not for everybody. There's a lot of reasons we can lose people in the craft. I live in a small town in Florida. Radiology jobs have exploded. Yeah, there's a lot going on in the market right now. There's COVID, and there's a good number of people saying I'm not taking that vaccine, And the hospitals are letting people go because they're idiots. They don't realize how hard it is to replace us and how they can't run without us. They're figuring it out now. And where the big money is now, if you're coming out of school, is you ought to check out being a travel tech. Because there is big money, big sign-on bonuses. Go to my Facebook group and just scroll through all the job postings. It's only a few things I allow to be posted in that group outside of us talking to each other. And that's, I allow ads from headhunters, because I want you guys to see what all jobs are out there. They're starting to put in how much the pay is, how much the bonus is, relocation packages. So I allow those, and I allow texts, because I talk about side hustles and how everybody should have a side hustle, because you can't wrap your whole world into one thing. Don't wrap your whole world into radiology. You need a break. You need to get outside of that box. And so if you make something or sell something or provide something that you make yourself, I allow you to post that in our group. So people that make their own markers, their own tumblers, their own whatever, I'm more than happy to let you advertise that to the group. Outside of that, I don't let vendors come in and tell us about their new CT scanner. I don't let people come in and tell us about their new programs in school, an ultrasound weekend program, whatever. That's not what the group's for. So Fighting with Truth lives in a small town in Florida. Jobs have exploded. It's funny, I was just telling my wife this morning, since we're both techs, we're both licensed, I said, would you ever consider going to Florida and working in a hospital with me, just the two of us shooting x-rays if we were near the beach? Because that was kind of something we discussed long ago when she went to x-ray school about, I don't know, I was in my first semester of ultrasound when she was in her last semester of x-ray school, or vice versa. I can't remember. We were both going to school at the same time and working full-time and had kids. So don't tell me it can't be done. But our goal was to both be techs and at some point travel together. And of course, I worked up into ultrasound. I'd be the ultrasound tech. She'd be the x-ray tech. But there's a job posted in our Facebook group in Pensacola, Florida. And I hit him up, this Dale Hannigan at RSG. I said, how much is that paying down there? And he said, for fresh out of school, mid-20s, with some experience, high 20s, which means I could probably jump in there, even and just do x-ray at 28, 29 bucks an hour. My wife would make about the same thing, so 56 bucks an hour total. We could go work 3/12s and spend 4 days on the beach and kick it around for 6 months or a year or whatever, and then go somewhere else. And so it's exciting times right now. If you can get out of school and get past COVID and the restrictions and the mandates and all that garbage, the job opportunities are amazing in radiology right now, which also should mean that these clinical starts are willing to cross-train, because technologists are going to prefer site A over site B if site A just wants a tech and site B says, I want a tech, but I'll also cross-train you into CT, or I'll also cross-train you into MRI. So be looking for that kind of stuff if you're in the market. We're a big medical community. Oh yeah, Florida's huge. North of Los Angeles. Our group is split 4 people to 3 different hospitals, so we only have 4 in each group learning. Yeah, it's good to you get too many students in the clinical rotation and you don't get as much exposure, right? I usually had one guy with me and we would take turns. He'd go to the OR, I'd go to the ER, and then we'd swap, and then he'd do outpatient, I'd do inpatient, whatever. And I think we knocked out 27 comps in our first rotation, if I remember right. We used to call it comp shopping. We'd go down to the ER, because you get to know the ER docs after a while. We'd go down to the ER and say, hey, I need a mandible for a comp. Do you have anybody that's gotten in a fight? Are they here from a brawl and they got punched in the face? Maybe you want to consider a mandible. And of course, they wouldn't order it just for you. But if they had a fist fight patient that had a dislocated mandible or whatever, not out of the realm of possibilities to order a mandible x-ray on that patient, and there's your comp. So don't be afraid to go comp shopping when you need certain SI joints, whatever, if you're having a hard time getting those things. Get chummy with your ER physician, and hey, if you get any patients today that might have SI joint pain, whatever, feel free to order an SI joint because I need it on my comp list. Put a little sticky note on his computer. Susie needs an SI comp and X-ray, you know, whatever. But make it funny, whatever you have to do. Are you assigned to work on ECUs, inpatients for that hospital? Common down. I'm born and raised Florida. I love my state. We have jobs everywhere. I remember when I was about to start clinicals at Kaiser, so that's over in Cali. Yep. So I pulled one of your managers over here to be my manager in Idaho. He was a part of the Kaiser system. Anyway, he's now in Utah, Salt Lake City. He's a director. He's promoted up the ladder. Super proud of that guy, Jeremy Redden, down in Ogden, Utah. I remember when I was about to start clinicals at Kaiser, Panorama, California. I had to do about 12 hours of ECUs before. Ugh. Yep, I remember the morning runs. I remember having to do 20 chest x-rays, loading up every 14 by 17 cassette that we had and putting blank tape on all of them, and then I go shoot them and write the patient's name on the tape, run them back downstairs, run them, go back up again, do them again. Again, thanks for joining me for lunch. It's a Radiology Tech lunch. Enjoy a little guacamole dip. Holy guacamole, if you've seen it at your Costco. Enjoying my Purple Haze Bang. I'll chase that down with some Gatorade protein, 0 calorie. Try to balance it out. Dropped by Aunt Minnie again. Almost every day there's something worth looking at. Almost every day. Completion of CT lung screening varies between groups in Hawaii. Well, that's not very uncommon, is it? Study groups vary. AI reconstruction aids lung nodule detection on ultra-low dose CT. Well, AI obviously is going to help us more and more as time goes by. Prostate MRI predicts urinary continence after surgery. Well, that's interesting. You know, there's incontinence sometimes with prostate surgery, and apparently prostate MRI can help predict that. How will Medicare payment changes impact your radiology practice? So this kind of stuff isn't usually of interest to a technologist because you're not really worried about how much money the hospital makes or your department makes. But it does help you kind of understand the big picture if you have time to read these kind of articles, because what you start to learn is some of the basics are that, of course, insurance companies are always going to try to pay as little as possible to the facilities. That's their job. That's their goal. Their job is to provide payments for people who earn them, but their goal is to pay less and less to keep more in their pocket. So every year over year, our hospitals are going to get paid less and less for the work we do. And that trickles down to the technologists because that makes administration pucker up, and they want to shrink our annual raises. They want to maybe not buy that new CT scanner that we really need because they're trying to save money because they're not getting reimbursed as much as they used to. So the more you understand how that works, the more you kind of see things through the eye of the administrator. And what we like to see as administrators, I mean, just be a good tech, most of all. But if you see ways to enhance what you're doing, if you see a better way to streamline getting a patient back to your department, or dog, are you done? Or if you see a way to just streamline your process, make a 20-step process of doing a CT into a 15-step process. You're saving time, which saves money, which gets results out quicker. As administrators, this is actually something I'm going to talk about in May in New Orleans. Leadership standard work is what my particular methodology is called. But it's about empowering technologists to see their own workflow and then watch for ways to make it better. It can be as simple as, you're driving me crazy, stop. The one case study was we had printer paper put too far away out of reach of the printer, and every time the techs had to refill the printer, they had to go all the way over there and get it and bring it back. And their simple solution for making that process simpler was to start storing the paper right there by the printer. And it may sound silly, it's something super simple, and yeah, that's common sense, But have you not worked in an area and realized common sense isn't so common? So that's what I like to do with this leadership standard work, is empower the techs to make their own decisions that make their jobs easier and more efficient, which eventually rolls up to being more profitable, which helps everybody. And so these kind of articles like I'm pointing out here, how will Medicare payment changes impact your practice? That kind of stuff probably seems boring, but the more you know about how the money flows in radiology, the more you understand your job and what impacts your job. BappyPet may improve diagnosis of gastric cancer. These articles that say may, I don't read them, because don't tell me it might. Tell me conclusively. If it's not conclusive, don't waste my time. I mean, great, maybe it does, but maybe you need to do some more studies so that you can say it absolutely does, and then I'll read the article. Varian earns IMV 2021 Service Talk Awards. That kind of feels more like I won't call it spam, but just saying something nice about Varian, who's probably a sponsor somewhere on Aunt Minnie. CT lung screenings of low-risk women leads to overdiagnosis. CT lung screenings of low-risk women leads to overdiagnosis. That's interesting. Why would it lead to overdiagnosis? Because if you're picking up an accurate diagnosis, how are you overdiagnosing? So I might earmark that one to read later. Use of ultrasound contrast lags despite its clear benefits. That's always been an issue. You know, in ultrasound, you can introduce air bubbles into the tissue or into the area that you're studying, you're examining, and you can see pathologies that way. And it has been helpful for a long time, especially in cardiology. So it's funny to see this pop up every now and then that, I don't know if contrast and ultrasound is helpful or not. It is. We know it is. This is another one of those, why are we talking about this? Either tell me it doesn't work or tell me it does work. Siemens Health and Ears earns more awards. Well, of course they do. They're Siemens. SNMMI warns of Omicron's impact on PET scans. Nothing really. So this is, I'm just showing you Aunt Minnie. I go through here almost every day and see what's going on. There are, if you're interested in the shakers and movers in our world, there's people in the news. That just tells you where all the CEOs are going, and CMOs and CFOs. You can get all your vendors on here. They advertise to be on here. There's a case of the day. I used to look at that every day as a student to start getting familiar with anatomy. This one's a 55-year-old woman with abdominal pain. This goes back years. You can look up studies years and years back. But Aunt Minnie also has communities. If you're only interested in, CT, you can log into that community and it'll only talk about CT articles. MRI, oncology, ultrasound, women's imaging, it's all there. They have every modality separated out. I don't follow their tweets really. I'm not a big Twitter person. Upcoming conferences, if you're ever interested in going to conferences. So that's a rundown on Aunt Minnie today. We'll close that out. Let's see. Colleen, like I was born and raised here in Southern California, but my husband is not. He came from the Philippines, and his father had 3 younger brothers. Yeah, there's a lot of jobs in California and Florida and Texas. I mean, there's a lot of jobs all over the place. Pop over here to the group. They're coming more. It's becoming more and more prevalent to post them in our group now. If I can get them to load. Hinsdale, Illinois has an ecotech, which isn't really, we don't have a lot of ecotechs in our group. I try to keep this group really geared more towards x-ray techs and people looking into being x-ray. We do talk about all the other modalities because we can, but there are Facebook groups for each of those. There's a great sonography group called Sonographers Do It in the Dark. And you're going to get more specific information about those modalities in those groups. So if I were looking for an echo tech, I would have posted over there in the ultrasound group, but this may be a spammer that just posted anywhere and everywhere. And I got to kind of be careful. I posted a poll a couple weeks ago asking the Facebook group members, do these things bother you guys, or do you want to see about job postings? And really 8 or 9 out of 10 people said, yeah, leave them up there. If it bothers people, they can just scroll past it. And that's true. I just try not to jam up our group with a bunch of these, because they'll post them, you know, too many. I do delete them if they post them multiple times a day or days back to back, that kind of thing. Illinois, OSU. Here's another cool one. Did you guys see this ad for a veterinary radiographer? Oklahoma State University, down in Stillwater, Oklahoma, has a vet rad program that they will hire you into, and you can take x-rays of animals. It's really cool. I wonder if I can grab that, because you don't, this is the first time I've seen a vet tech posted. And people are always asking, because I have, if you're interested in learning more about that, pop over here into my group and do vet, use that, not my group, my blog, type in veterinary in the search bar. I've done a couple of different articles, and I got a lot of pictures, but skills needed in there. And I've talked to some vet techs and you know, got their input and quoted them in the articles. What is veterinary diagnostic imaging? Very interesting. Not very many jobs. Not very many jobs out there, but what a cool gig that would be, right? So just know that that's out there. I'm going through just looking at jobs. Books and books and books and books. MRI. Learn radiology. See, this is what I don't really care for. Learn radiology. Watch full video. Pros and cons. This to me is somebody that just wants to get YouTube views, and it's in Hindi. This is really, I mean, I allow anybody from anywhere into the group if they answer the questions when applying to get in. But like I've said before, we're all governed by the ARRT, which is only good for the United States. What they do over there in that part of the world is completely different requirements. And you can see nobody's commenting, nobody's giving it a thumbs up, nobody cares. He's just coming over here. Where he should have posted that is in another radiology group where there's a lot of people from foreign countries in it, where they would probably appreciate that more. I take stuff like that and I just get rid of it. John Hopkins Radiology is hiring. Virtual open house. Who's this? Bayfront Health in St. Pete. And St. Petersburg is hiring. Looking for MTLS interested in an information interview. Would love to connect with some MTLs who are interested, considering or have considered travel opportunities. Any information, state of the market, what opportunities are looking like right now, and the rates. Send me a DM. So, no, I don't even know what an MTLS is. This is one of the people I just let in yesterday. You can tell because they just posted. I don't care for all caps. You're screaming. So they haven't even learned proper internet etiquette yet. And it's 2022. This just isn't much benefit to what we're doing here. Try again. Again, all caps, not a big fan. Overnight CAT scan tech for New Jersey Shore. Must be able to attend EPIC training. Blech. If you've ever been on EPIC, blech. Start immediately thereafter. 13 weeks to start. Schedule 9P to 8A. Every Wednesday through Saturday. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So 4 10s. Oh, there it is. 4 by 10. Facility opens to 312s. Open to 312s. With key days being Wednesday and Saturday. See, who wants to work Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, or something like that? You want 3 days in a row. Must have at least one minimum year prior CT scan tech experience in major acute hospital, highly preferred trauma. Not Allison, if you ever see this video, can you please not put it in all caps? So you didn't hear. This isn't in caps. So why is this in all caps? So, okay. Memo tech needed in Springfield, Illinois. Vascular tech needed. There's echo again. Pujabat is asking for a vascular echo tech in our radiology group. Here's the vet tech again. Cool. Somebody asking questions. Here's somebody in New York looking for a mammographer. Books for sale, books for sale, books for sale or free. Dale, that's my guy. He's the one that has the Pensacola, Florida stuff. Look at all his jobs posted. He's got x-ray techs in Missouri, Texas, and Florida. He's got CT techs in Florida, Texas, South Carolina, Missouri, and Florida. MRI in Wyoming, Florida, Texas, and other jobs. The market is just wide open for us right now. So if you have the ability to move around, I highly recommend checking that out. Not super excited about this kind of ad. I mean, what is it? The gold standard of any radiation safety program is Alara. Yeah, we know that. Versant physics. What do you, when working around sources of radiation, don't forget to minimize. Yeah, we know that. We're techs. We get it. Why? What are you even promoting here? Shirts. So here's somebody who's making x-ray shirts. Cool. I liked it. More books. More books. Here's another one. Detroit, Michigan, hiring. I don't know if you want to go to Detroit. I hear you have to wear a bulletproof lead vest there. Not really joking. What do we got? Supreme Court. Oh, that's news that I posted. Here's somebody saying they got an interview coming. Any recommendations to help me out? Here's a Chicago, Illinois CT tech. Need an x-ray tech in Dothan. No idea where that is. Where's Dothan? Yeah, don't know much about that. Phoenix needs a rad techs. Cath lab techs. Cath lab techs. So anyway, lots and lots of jobs open out there. I'm gonna probably start winding down the talk. I don't know, how long have we been going? Started streaming 4 minutes ago. I don't think so. Let's redo that. 64 minutes ago. We're pushing an hour. That's a pretty long lunch break, wouldn't you say? So I haven't checked my email for questions today. I did answer one yesterday with the YouTube video and 3 the day prior. All right, we'll call it good. Looks like the chat's minimizing. And thanks everybody again for coming out. Make sure you hit the like button down there. We've got three on there so far. Try to get up as high as we can. If you have any questions, the most common way to reach me is coming over here to the blog, hitting the contact button, and this little script pops up. You put your name, email address, and what you want to say, and I'm happy to answer your questions. I try to post in the Facebook group when I'm going to do these lunches. I meant to do it today, but I got sidetracked and I didn't get it posted. I try to post, you know, like, hey, in 30 minutes I'm going to do a live, or at 2:30 today there'll be a live. So make sure you tell your friends and cohorts that this is out there, that we're out there trying to spread the information to everybody. Tell them about the Facebook group and the YouTube channel and the blog, where there's lots of study guides and information like that. And